When did the Aztecs rule in the area of Mexico and Guatemala? And who built the Teotihuacan pyramids that they found already existing? This is because of one of the comments that I recently received from one of my viewers, and it's something that we should know. Teotihuacan actually means the birthplace of the gods, or place where gods were born. Teotihuacan, located in the state of Mexico, it's about 40 kilometers northeast of modern-day Mexico City. It's known today as the site of many of the most architecturally significant Mesoamerican pyramids built in the pre-Columbian Americas, most important and largest pre-Columbia city in Mexico. At its zenith, perhaps the first half of the first millennium in our Common Era AD, Teotihuacan was the largest city in the pre-Columbian Americas, with a population of at least 125,000, making it at least the sixth largest city in the world during the time. After the collapse of Teotihuacan, central Mexico was dominated by the Toltecs of Tula until about 1150 AD. That's before the Columbian era. It's about 8 square miles. 80–90% of the total population of the valley resided in Teotihuacan, apart from the pyramids. It's also anthropologically significant for its complex, multi-family residential compounds. It's a subject of debate whether Teotihuacan was the center of a state empire influencing Mesoamerica. Evidence of Teotihuacan presence can be seen at numerous sites at Veracruz and the Maya region. The Maya region describes geography features of Mesoamerica, culture area in the Americas inhabited by the complex indigenous pre-Columbian cultures. Now, the later Aztecs saw these magnificent ruins and claimed a common ancestry with the Teotihuacanos, modifying the adopted aspects of their culture. Ethnicity inhabitants of Teotihuacan is a subject of debate. Possible candidates are the Nahua, Otomi, or Totonac ethnic groups. Scholars have suggested that Teotihuacan was a multi-ethnic state since they find cultural aspects connected to the Maya as well as the Oto-Pamian people. The history. The first human establishment in the area dates back to 600 BC, and until about 200 BC, there were scattered small villages on the site of the future city of Teotihuacan. It's established that the total population of that valley during the time was 6,000 inhabitants, and during the period of 100 BC to 750 AD, Teotihuacan had evolved into a huge urban administrative center with cultural influences throughout Mesoamerican region. The first period, between 200 BC to 1 BC, marks the genesis of a real city, and during the period, Teotihuacan began to grow into a city as farmers worked on the hillside of the valley. The second period lasted between 1 AD to 350 AD, the city exhibiting explosive growth, causing it to be the largest metropolis in Mesoamerica. Period 3 lasted from the year 350 AD to 650 AD, also called the classical period of Teotihuacan, and the city reached an apogee of its influence in Mesoamerica, population about 125,000 inhabitants. And period 4, the time period between 650 AD to 750 AD, marks the end of the Teotihuacan as major power in Mesoamerica. The city's elite housing compounds, those clustered around the Street of the Dead, bear many burn marks, and archaeologists hypothesize the city experienced civil strife that hastens its decline. The origins and foundations. The early history of Teotihuacan is mysterious, and the origins of its founders are uncertain. Around 300 BC, people of the central and southeastern area of Mesoamerica began to gather into larger settlements. Teotihuacan was the largest urban center of Mesoamerica before the Aztecs. Okay, this is before the Aztecs, because many people think that the pyramids were built by the Aztecs. That's not so. before the Aztecs, almost 1,000 years prior to their epoch. The city was already in ruins by the time of the Aztecs. So, by the time the Aztecs came, they were established, the city was already in ruins. We're talking about the ancient temples, etc. For many years, archaeologists believed it was built by the Toltec. This belief was based on colonial period texts such as the Florentine Codex, which attributed the site to the Toltecs, but the Nahuatl word Toltec generally means craftsman of the highest level, may not always refer to the Toltec civilization. Since Toltec civilization flourished centuries after Teotihuacan, the people could not have been the city's founders. Other scholars have put the Toltec period as the founders of Teotihuacan, suggesting Teotihuacan was a multi-ethnic state since they find diverse cultural aspects connecting Zapotec, Mixtec, and Maya people. The origins and foundations we talked about already, but let's go to the Aztecs. Now, the early rulers of the Aztec Empire. In 1440, Moctezuma I, means he frowns like a lord, he shoots the sky, was elected Tlatoani. He was the son of Huitzilopochtli, brother of Xicopopoca, served as the war leader for his uncle Izclotl in the war against the Tepanecs. The accession of the new ruler in the dominant city-state was often an occasion for subjected cities to rebel by refusing to pay tribute. Now, Moctezuma then reconquered the cities and the valleys of Morelos and Guerrero, and then later undertook new conquests. Moctezuma also consolidated the political structure of the Triple Alliance, internal political organization. His brother served as his main advisor, and he is considered the architect of major political reforms in this period. Now, the Aztecs. They were the Mesoamerican culture flourishing in central Mexico in the post-classical period from 1300 to 1521 AD. The Aztec people included different ethnic groups of central Mexico, particularly those groups who spoke the Nahuatl language and who dominated large parts of Mesoamerica from the 14th to the 16th centuries. Aztec Empire, Aztec culture was organized into city-states, some of which joined to form alliances, political confederations, or empires, and the Aztec Empire was a confederation of 3 city-states established in 1427. So here we're just talking about, basically, I'll leave links below for you on Wikipedia concerning Teotihuacan and the Aztecs. But the Aztecs were not that old. I mean, they were from the 14th century, 1300s to 1521. So there are those who believe that they were much more ancient, and it seems that no, they were not. So, the empire reached its maximal extent in 1519, just prior to the arrival of a small group of Spanish conquistadors led by Hernan Cortes, and Cortes allied with city-states opposed to the Mexica, particularly the Nahuatl-speaking, as well as other central Mexican polities, including Texcoco, its former ally with the Triple Alliance. After the fall of Tenochtitlan in 13th of August 1521, and the capture of the emperor Cuauhtemoc, the Spanish founded Mexico City on the ruins of Tenochtitlan. From there, they proceeded with the process of conquest and incorporation of Mesoamerican people into the Spanish Empire. Aztec culture and history is primarily known through archaeological evidence found in excavations such as the renowned Templo Mayor in Mexico City, and from indigenous writings, from eyewitness accounts by Spanish conquistadors such as Cortes. Especially from 16th and 17th century descriptions of Aztec culture, history written by Spanish clergymen and literate Aztecs in the Spanish or Nahuatl language, such as the famous illustrated bilingual Spanish and Nahuatl 12-volume Florentine Codex, created by the Franciscan friar Bernardino de Sahagún in collaboration with indigenous Aztec informants, and important for knowledge of post-conquest Nahuas was the training of indigenous scribes to write alphabetical texts in Nahuatl, mainly for local purposes under Spanish colonial rule. At its height, the Aztec culture had rich and complex mythological and religious traditions, as well as achieving remarkable architectural and artistic accomplishments. Now, the early Mexican rulers, in the first 50 years after the founding of Mexico dynasty, the Mexica were a tributary of Azcapotzalco, which had become a major regional power under the ruler Teotihuacan. The Mexica supplied the Tepanaka with warriors for their successful conquest campaigns in the region. In 1396, this is before the Cortes and the Conquistadors, his Acamapitl's death, his son Huitzihuiti, meaning hummingbird feather, became ruler, married to Teotihuacan's daughter. The relation with Azcapotzalco remained close. So we have here a succession of some of the regents and rulers of the area. Early rulers of the Aztec Empire, we said, was Moctezuma or Montezuma, or whatever you want to call him. And the Axayacatl and Tizoc in 1469, the next ruler, son of someone else, he undertook the successful coronation, various coronations, until, of course, the conquistadors took power over this. And I'll leave links below for you to see their various alliances and cultures and daily lives and philosophy. So the point we want to make here is that the Aztecs were here a lot later than the Teotihuacan pyramids were built. Let's talk a little bit about the history of the Mayan civilization, divided into three periods: the pre-classic, classic, and post-classic periods. The Archaic period was before that, from 8,000 to 2,000 BC. 8,000 to 2,000 BC. So that was around the time of, like, after the last ice age. These were preceded by the Archaic, as we said, and which saw the first settled villages and early developments of agriculture. Modern scholars regard these periods as arbitrary divisions of chronology of the Maya civilization, rather than indicative of cultural evolution or decadence. So, the pre-classic lasted from about 2000 BC to about 250 AD, and the classic from about 550 AD. And you see all this going to post-classic, and the contact period, and that's the areas of Cortes and Conquistadors. So, obviously, before the Aztecs, the Maya were here long before that, but they were the Aztecs were about this area here, Mexico. This was around Guatemala, Mesoamerica. Again, they did find that they had, for example, the Chichen Itza pyramid. This was a Mayan construction, they say, but this was no way close to what they had in Teotihuacan. But of course, this was a pyramid, and they did have, as we know, animal and human sacrifice, unfortunately. I'm not going to go into that. I'll leave a link below for you to see what their philosophy and civilization was about. And this is one of them here. As we know, most of them were covered by greenery. One of the most important classical period cities, classical period being after, what do we say, after 2000 AD, BC, sorry. That's a classical period, 250 AD. So that's pretty young compared to the Teotihuacan, very old pyramids that we saw before. So Mayans were, of course, a lot older than the Aztec, but the Teotihuacan, as we saw before when we read from our Teotihuacan information, they were already there at least 1,000 years before the Aztecs, and in an area north of the Mayans. So that's just more information under our belt having to do with Central Mesoamerican anthropology and archaeology. Now, as to the Who built the Teotihuacan pyramid complex? That is still a mystery. The archaeologists still have no idea because of the fact that the ancients found these complexes when they went there. So we still don't know. It's still a mystery. If you'd like to join me on my Patreon account, you will hear content not covered by mainstream media. These riveting stories will be based on my research, and I will state my opinions and give my personal insight on diverse and controversial subjects and world events not covered by mainstream media, and not supported by YouTube guidelines. So whatever I have on my Patreon, most of those will not be on my YouTube channel. Please consider becoming a member today. More of the most significant and important videos will be on my Patreon channel. Your support helps me to continue my research and keeps this YouTube channel alive. And we depend on your support, your generous charity, because we help economically challenged families here in Athens, Greece, in Kapota, and we also help the young generation with university tuition and the community around our church. Thank you.